He didn't give an answer on abortion. That's the problem. He's been asked that question now a couple times. He says, well, I want to talk about jobs.
Representative Emmer, do you expect to introduce any abortion-related bills during your tenure if you are elected governor?
You know what, Kathy, we had this conversation when I was here back in August. I have a very clear position on these issues.
You're endorsed by the MCCO.
Sure, but my campaign is all about getting government back in proper...
I understand that, but there are people who vote on abortion issues.
Well, that's great.
They go and they are supportive. They want to know who they're voting for.
That's great. And like I said, I've got a history. I've got a record on those issues. It's clear. But this campaign is about the economy and jobs. That's what we have to do for the state of Minnesota going forward. And I'm going to stick to it.
So are you saying this is not an important issue then?
I'm sure it's important to many people.
Because you co-sponsored 5 anti-abortion related bills last session. So it must be important to you.
It's important to many people. But again, this is about the economy and jobs. We've got to get people working again in the state of Minnesota.
28 other debates, we talked about the economy and jobs. We're asking about social issues. Right. So I'm going to ask you this one more time. Do you expect to introduce any abortion-related bills during your tenure?
Kathy, here's the thing. Let's stick to the issues that unify us. This is an issue that divides us.
You know,
I think it's time that we be unified. And the one thing that's going to unify us is getting our economy moving again, getting Minnesotans good quality jobs and getting them working again.
Okay.
Yeah, let's stick with that.
So you're not going to go answer the question.
I know you gentlemen have spent all of these debates, almost all of the debates, talking about the budget issue, and appropriately so, it's the big one, but back to those social issues, which I know, Mr. Emmer, you'd rather not talk about, and it just hasn't come up often, but there are folks who are really interested in where you're going to stand on these social issues. And let me start with you, Tom Emmer, if I may. Will you back tighter restrictions on abortions in the state of Minnesota?
You know what, Gary? I've never said I won't talk about it. What I've said is, you know, I'm the only pro-life candidate up here, but that's not an issue.
Well,
that is not an issue. What I have said regularly, every time these issues are brought up, Gary, is we've got to talk about the things that unite us.
Well, we have been talking about that, and I think it's fair to say, if you're elected governor, would you support push for tighter restrictions?
I don't think it is at this point, Gary. I think what we're talking about in this state is jobs and the economy. And if we keep focusing or trying to distract our attention to things that just slow us down and divide us, we're not going to do the things that we have to up front, Gary. This election,
well, if the legislature sends you a bill which would tighten restrictions or relax restrictions on abortion, would you sign it or veto it?
I answer the question. I've got a very clear record on where I stand when it comes to pro-life. I'm going to be a jobs and economy guy if I'm elected to the governor's office.
From him today, I find Tom Emmer to be far too much to the right, and he just has an inability to answer questions directly. So I heard more of the evasiveness and the unwillingness to just give straight answers on social issues.
What did you think of his abortion answer?
He didn't give an answer on abortion. That's the problem. He's been asked that question now a couple times. He says, well, I want to talk about jobs. Okay, well, we've had more than 20 debates. We've talked about jobs. People want to know where you stand. And if you are either too afraid to give a direct answer, or you think that it's politically unwise to give a direct answer, that's not leadership, and that's not the governor I'm going to vote for.
What did you think of his abortion answer? Are you pro-life?
I am pro-life.
Do you think it was strong enough, or was he right in saying let's unite instead of talk about that?
Well, I guess I agree with him in thank you in that respect that I don't believe he really gave an answer. I think from the standpoint of politically unwise at this point in Minnesota, I understand that might have been the idea, but I think that I think you do have to say what you feel. What I do believe from that standpoint, though, is it's basically a federal law. I don't know that on the state end that really too much can be changed in it, and yet it's such a partisan issue, and so many people on the left and the right vote one issue